There comes a moment in life, quiet, painful, and almost invisible, when a parent realizes that the warmth once present in their child's eyes has faded. The phone calls get fewer. The words, once wrapped in love, now feel dry, and sometimes there's silence. If you're a parent who gave your whole life to raising your children, only to feel forgotten in your later years, this silence can feel louder than anything else. It's not just the absence of a voice, it's the absence of acknowledgement, of presence, of meaning. For millions of parents across the world, especially in the United States, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, the UK, Australia, and many parts of Europe, this reality is deeply painful. Parents who once sacrificed sleep, comfort, and careers to provide a better life for their children now sit alone with memories that echo through empty rooms. It's not just abandonment, it's heartbreak. But what can one do when the very people they once cradled in their arms begin to drift away emotionally, and sometimes with sharp, inexplicable coldness? Psychologists describe this as a silent, emotional wound that many elderly parents carry without telling anyone. According to a 2023 study from the University of Manchester, nearly 47% of seniors over the age of 65 reported feeling emotionally distant from at least one of their adult children. The reasons vary from misunderstandings and generational gaps to resentment or emotional immaturity in grown-up children, but the impact remains heavy and deeply personal. If you're experiencing this, you might find yourself wondering, what did I do wrong? Or worse, why don't they love me anymore? These questions, though deeply human, can spiral into self-blame and depression. The truth, however, is that human relationships, especially familial ones, are far more complex than simple rights and wrongs. Sometimes the emotional detachment of adult children has little to do with what parents did or didn't do. It could stem from their own inner battles, unresolved traumas, life pressures, or a culture that prioritizes independence over interdependence. Renowned family therapist Dr. Joshua Coleman has spent decades studying estranged parent-adult-child relationships. In his landmark book, Rules of Estrangement, he explains that many adult children cut ties or pull away not because of abuse or cruelty from parents, but because of emotional distance, unmet expectations, or influence from partners. Yet, for the parents left behind, the pain is no less than grief. Science supports the depth of this suffering. A research paper published in the journal Gerontologist found that social rejection from close family members triggers the same brain regions as physical pain. That means when your child speaks harshly, ignores you, or walks away, it doesn't just hurt emotionally, it hurts neurologically. Your brain literally experiences it like a wound. And with age, the emotional resilience to cope with such rejection can weaken, leading to anxiety, sadness, and in severe cases, clinical depression. But amidst this painful reality, there is hope, not through trying to control others, but through learning how to reclaim peace, restore self-worth, and protect your emotional health with wisdom and grace. Start by allowing yourself to feel the grief. You are not being weak. Grieving a living child's emotional absence is one of the most misunderstood forms of pain. Just because they're alive doesn't mean you haven't lost something: the connection, the warmth, the reciprocity. Acknowledge that loss. It's okay to cry. It's okay to mourn. And then remind yourself that your worth as a parent is not determined by your child's behavior. You were a good parent. You are a good parent. Experts in elder psychology emphasize a crucial step in recovery: shifting the focus from the child's rejection to the parent's self-compassion. Dr. Lisa Holosoya, a gerontologist at Northeastern Illinois University, suggests that healing begins when elderly individuals engage in emotional reframing. That means instead of asking, "Why are they doing this to me?" you gently begin to ask, "What do I need to feel whole again?" The power slowly returns to you. One of the most beautiful stories of healing comes from a woman in Lyon, France. Marie, aged 78, her daughter moved abroad and, over time, became distant, barely answering calls or emails. Marie went through a deep period of sadness, feeling unloved and forgotten. But then she began writing letters to herself, not angry letters to her daughter, but letters filled with everything she missed about her younger self: her passion for poetry, her love of music, her dreams before she became a mother. Those letters became her diary, then her book. Marie never forced a reunion with her daughter, but something magical happened. As Marie healed herself, she became emotionally lighter, more vibrant. After years of silence, her daughter eventually reached out, not because Marie begged, but because she found peace. This peace doesn't come overnight, but it begins with boundaries. If your child is disrespectful, cruel, or manipulative, you are not obligated to accept mistreatment just because they are your child. Respect is mutual. Love is not a license for emotional abuse. Say this out loud, if you need to. I love my child, but I love myself too. According to the American Psychological Association, elderly individuals who develop firm boundaries with emotionally distant or hurtful family members tend to have better mental health outcomes than those who continually try to win back affection. That doesn't mean you slam doors, it means you protect your heart. You leave space for reconciliation, but you don't live in the hope of it. There are also ways to rediscover joy and emotional connection outside your children. Aging experts recommend investing emotionally in intergenerational friendships, community service, faith-based groups, or creative pursuits. These connections can fill the emotional vacuum left behind by an absent child. They won't replace your children, but they can soothe the ache and reignite a sense of belonging and value. In Sydney, Australia, a retired schoolteacher named Thomas, now 83, shares his story with a local radio program. His only son, after marrying, gradually distanced himself. I used to sit by the phone every Sunday, Thomas said, but it didn't ring for 5 years. At first, Thomas was devastated and he began tutoring refugee children in English. I found a different kind of family, he said. They needed me, I needed them, and in some way, it healed me. Healing doesn't mean forgetting your children or giving up on them. It means refusing to let their absence define your emotional future. It means choosing dignity over despair. It means recognizing that the love you once gave is not wasted, it shaped lives, and it still lives in the echoes of your kindness, your sacrifices, and your strength. You deserve peace, not just as a reward for years of parenting, but because you are a human being worthy of love and care, whether or not it comes from your children. The most important relationship you now have is the one with yourself. Be kind to your heart. Speak gently to your mind. Feed your soul with the company of those who see your worth, even if they aren't your blood. In Italy, psychologist Dr. Alina Bianchi works with elderly patients struggling with rejection from their families. She often reminds them, your child's inability to show love says nothing about your capacity to receive it from the world. That is the heart of this message. Your life is still meaningful, still full of potential for connection, beauty, and grace. Time may or may not change your children. Some may return, others may never understand the hurt they've caused. But your happiness does not have to wait on their apology. Begin your healing today, reclaim your voice, live with intention, and surround yourself with kindness from within. You are not alone. There are millions like you, quietly carrying the same pain. But there is also a world waiting to embrace you if you open your heart again, not to the past, but to the possibility of peace in the present. Love now, it's time to receive it from yourself, from others, from life itself. In the stillness of loneliness, many elderly parents find themselves replaying the past, wondering where things changed. When the warmth in their child's voice began to cool, when distance turned into silence. This emotional disconnect doesn't always arrive in a dramatic argument or final goodbye. Often it comes slowly, almost invisibly. The child becomes busy, distracted, unavailable. Texts go unanswered, holidays become awkward, and over time the emotional absence becomes harder to bear than physical distance ever could. But what most parents don't realize is how common this emotional pain truly is. Across continents, cultures, and languages, thousands of aging mothers and fathers sit quietly with hearts full of memories, and hands empty of new moments with their children. The pain is not just about being forgotten, it's about the feeling that the love they gave, the years they invested, are no longer visible in their children's actions. The human heart is not designed to disconnect easily, so when a child pulls away, it leaves a deep scar. However, this pain, while valid, is not the end of the story. Healing begins when you give yourself permission to stop waiting for others to change and start focusing on what you can control. You may not be able to make someone love or respect you, but you can absolutely decide how to respond to their absence. That choice, simple as it sounds, can mean the difference between ongoing suffering and a path toward peace. Many seniors fall into the trap of believing that their worth is tied to their children's behavior. This belief can quickly lead to depression, anxiety, and feelings of uselessness. But here's the truth. Your value does not disappear just because someone else fails to see it. You are still wise, you are still worthy, and your life still has purpose, whether your child sees it or not. Start small. Reconnect with parts of yourself that were buried under years of caregiving. Maybe it's a passion you set aside, a hobby you miss, a friend you haven't spoken to in years. These small steps can awaken a sense of identity beyond parenthood. They can remind you that you are more than a mother, more than a father. You are a human being with dreams, emotions, and the right to feel joy again. Some elderly parents find strength by helping others, mentoring younger people, volunteering, even just offering a kind word to someone who's struggling. This outward flow of love can bring healing when your own child is emotionally absent. It's not about replacing them, it's about refusing to let pain define the rest of your life. You didn't fail as a parent. Sometimes, life simply turns in painful directions. But every day is still a chance to rediscover hope, even in the shadows. And in that rediscovery, you just might find the peace your heart has been waiting for. ***, sometimes. The pain of being emotionally abandoned by your own children is so deep, so disorienting, that it doesn't feel like just a loss. It feels like your very sense of self has been shaken. You raised them, you loved them, you were there for their first steps, their sleepless nights, their triumphs and failures. And now, as you grow older and face the quiet of your own days, you find their absence louder than ever. You wonder if they still love you, if they even think of you. And the hardest question of all creeps in. Did I matter to them at all? This emotional silence is especially painful because it strikes at a stage of life when most people crave connection, tenderness, and acknowledgement. The golden years were never meant to be lived in emotional isolation, yet for countless parents in the United States, Canada, the UK, France, Germany, Australia, and beyond, this has become an uncomfortable reality. Children growing emotionally cold, distant, or indifferent, leaving their parents confused, heartbroken, and often ashamed to even speak about it. But you are not alone, and most importantly, this is not your fault. Emotional estrangement between parents and children is growing across generations, driven by complex changes in society, individualism, mental health challenges, cultural shifts, and sometimes deep misunderstandings that were never addressed. According to recent studies by researchers at Cornell and Stanford, more than 1 in 4 parents over 60 reports being estranged from at least one adult child, and yet, these numbers never show the emotional toll. What does it do to a parent's heart? To feel erased. The pain is very real, and it deserves to be honored, but that doesn't mean you are helpless in the face of it. One of the first and most powerful steps you can take is to separate your identity from the behavior of your children. You were a caring parent, you gave what you could. And even if mistakes were made along the way, as every parent makes, it does not erase the love you poured into them for decades. Love should never be measured only by the reaction it receives, but by the truth of the heart it came from. Still, emotional neglect can lead to genuine harm in seniors. Loneliness has been shown to increase the risk of cognitive decline, depression, and even heart disease. That's why taking care of your emotional health is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And it begins with giving yourself permission to heal. Start by acknowledging the grief. This is a loss, not of life, but of relationship. And grieving it is not weakness, it's honesty. Allow yourself to feel the sadness, the anger, even the confusion. Then slowly, gently, begin the work of turning your gaze inward and forward, not outward and backward. One of the most powerful things you can do is rebuild connection, if not with your children, then with your community, with your peers, with people who truly see and value you. Whether through local support groups, spiritual communities, art classes, or simply reaching out to an old friend, every small thread of connection helps reweave your sense of belonging. There's a powerful story of a man named Gerard from Lyon, France, who felt abandoned by both his children after their mother passed away. For years, he sat alone, rereading old birthday cards and text messages. One day he attended a neighborhood garden group just to get out of the house. What he found was not just flowers but friendship. The people he met there began inviting him over for dinner, asking for advice, sharing life stories. He later said, "I lost my children's voices, but I found my own again. You too can find yours." It may start with a single act, joining a group, learning a new skill, volunteering, even writing your own story. Many elderly individuals have discovered new meaning by mentoring young people who lack parental figures. Others have found joy in taking up painting, music, or traveling for the first time. These are not acts of escape, they are acts of reclaiming your right to experience love, joy, and dignity, regardless of your children's presence or approval. Some children eventually return, some don't, but the most important journey is not theirs, it is yours. You have the right to protect your heart from continued hurt. Set boundaries if necessary. Love from a distance if you must. But never forget that your life still has value. You are still needed, still cherished, still able to inspire and connect with the world in meaningful ways. If this message touched your heart, please consider subscribing to Seniors UpLife. We create these videos for you, our wise, resilient, and beautiful elders across the world, because your voice matters, your story matters, and your healing matters. This community is here to uplift you, honor you, and walk beside you. Even when your children forget your worth, never forget it. Yourself, the love you gave still lives in you, and it's never too late to give some of that love back to your own soul.